Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast with Jonathan A. Cohen, real estate lawyer, corporate lawyer, podcast host, author. Got to wear a few hats. And joining me today, a lady that likes to wear some hats too, realtor, family woman, and also podcast host. She has her show coming, and it is Our Real Life. And you ready for the marketing, Cathy? It inspired me right before we started the program. Our Real Life, real talk with real people.
Ooh, I like it.
Because, Our Real Life, Cathy Himelfarb, real estate, Forest Hill. So Our Real Life, real is playing into the real. So real talk with real people. There you go. So if you like to use that, it's free, yours.
Okay, I like it. Will you girls remember? I have our producer here.
We got
executive producer, assistant producer, the whole team.
People think it's just you and I sitting here at our kitchen, but there actually is a whole team behind us and making us look pretty and wonderful. So
yes.
Today, we're going to talk about looking good, feeling good, and coming back to my book, The Bible 3.0, where you and I have talked about it and what possessed me that in a lifetime of working real estate, closing deals, and podcasting, why do I want to do a book? And at the end of the day, like you, I want to help people. I want to take what I've done in my life and I want to bring them forward. And today I want to talk about what you've done in your life and what brought you forward and how you continue to do so, because being successful, being a mentor to others, it doesn't happen overnight, right? And as part of Chosen Life podcast, it hit me one day after the book had launched and I shared that with you. To me, it was all about motivation, mindfulness, and self-improvement. I wanted to share those topics today with you, Cathy, and pick your brain and see how you steer in those directions. So first and foremost, the word motivation. What instantly pops into your mind when you hear that word?
What gets you out of bed in the morning, gets you dressed, gets you feeling good, and, engages you for the whole day. So that propels you forward so you're able to make good decisions and help others, and at the same time maybe have some fun.
So I'm going to dig a little deeper now, because there's something, I notice where we are at different points in our life, we tend to have different motivation. Very often when you're starting off young, you finish university, you get your first job, maybe you moved out, you rented your first place. We've seen all these people, we may have lived it as well, but there's a motivation where you're saying, I need to pay my next bill. I need to make sure I can save up money to buy my first home. Had my first child, want to make sure I start putting money away for their education. There's this innate need that there's no choice. I'm motivated because I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to survive. It's those people when they get to the point in life, and we work with them, right? They're very different sometimes when they're 20 and 30, 40, 50, right? And you've been doing something for 20, 30 years, and that need is not there anymore. I have money put away. I'm doing very well now. I'm putting X amount every single year. And you know what? I don't have to worry about saving up anymore. My home is paid off. I have a great job. I can eat any restaurant I want. I can travel anywhere I want. There are two segments of people there, and you've probably noticed that, right? Those are people that say, you know what? I'm comfortable now. My motivation is dipping because I'm going to do the bare minimum because I don't need to anymore. And then there are the others that saying, now that I've seen it, now that I experienced it, and I've had that hunger, I want to go even further in life, so they become more motivated. How do people get more motivated when it no longer becomes a need to survive, but simply because I want to go ahead?
I think part of it is what kind of reaction are you getting when you tell people your new ideas and your new plans? Because if you get a positive reaction, then you're going to create more and you're going to be more motivated and, more geared towards creating more of a future rather than winding down and playing cards and joining a bridge club. So I don't think that way. I think, and I don't know, I know that this is something probably from my mother because she still goes to work every day and she's 26 years older than I am. So she hasn't retired yet. How can I think of retiring? It's not even on my radar at all. I'm trying to create more, get more involved, do more interesting things. And definitely I'm very, very committed to helping the realtors in our office, really committed to helping them and being there for them and supporting them, because they're the reason that I have an office, and it's the greatest thing in the world to be able to go somewhere one day, and look around and say, this is I had something to do with this. People are coming to work every day with a smile on their face because of an idea I had.
I love that. I gotta ask you, wearing all those hats, this is now me selfishly asking you for mentoring from my end, because I see the world in one way, but I like to come for mentoring questions to somebody that I feel is successful, somebody that has a lot of knowledge, experience, and can help me maybe see life in a different route. And, being a team leader, being a motivator, mentoring people, sitting here now in the year 2024 versus 20, 30 years ago, you probably notice people are motivated by a lot different things. Back in the day, people were motivated by fear, people yelling, people setting threats. People got motivated because they had to do it because otherwise they wouldn't keep their job. And they wanted to get ahead, so they knew they had to put in the hours and pull the grind. And sitting here in 2024, it feels like people are motivated by much different things now. I know a big segment, especially in the younger generation, millennial generation, you can pay them all the money in the world, but if you don't talk to me in the right way and you don't respect me at a certain level, I ain't working with you. It's not going to happen. Have you noticed the same thing?
Yes.
And
actually, that's a great thing. If you think about it that way, as long as, it doesn't go off the rails completely to too entitled and being difficult. But if you have certain expectations and certain standards that you expect other people to uphold, then you know that you're going to be treated the same way by that person. So I think that you always, like, it's not the same as, like, the old days when your boss would call you when you're in the office and berate you and tell you everything you did wrong and you're lucky to have a job and, you may not be here next week kind of thing. Like, the times have changed. Like, I think that people are way more understanding, and and there are certain, expectations in terms of standards of, maybe it's because of human resources, maybe it's just because of common sense or what we've seen in the world, because there's just been a lot of major events that have shaped us over the last few years, that we're more respectful, and we understand that we're not all the same, and that we don't all come from the same place. And I think when we look at people now, we realize there's a whole story. Like, I remember, I just driving down the street and being with somebody and them honking their horn at somebody because they thought they were driving too slow on Bathurst Street. And me finally driving, zipping up and looking over, and I'm going, who's he honking at? And I see it's like an 85, 90-year-old man who's driving very cautiously, and they're honking the horn. And I said, we have no idea what that man has been through in his life. Maybe his wife passed away last week. We don't know anything about this person. Maybe he fought in World War I. I have no idea, or World War II. Stop honking your horn. When you honk your horn at someone, they're not just somebody who's slow on the street, who's annoying you because it's going to take you 30 seconds longer to get wherever you're going. And I think if we all sort of consider each other that way, we're going to be a better, kinder world. And I think that that's just even smiling when you're in line in Loblaws and telling somebody they look great, even though you don't know them, or saying, I love your pants, or your jacket looks great on you, or where do you get your hair done? If you just ask people nice things, like, you don't have no idea the impact it makes on their day. Like, it's life-changing. So if you want to be, we talk about the chosen life, like, part of it, and I'm sure you do this every time because you're into mindfulness and self-awareness. I think that when you take the time to think of another human being other than a service person who's there for to service your needs, because a lot of people in this world that's how we interact. And if you look at them like a human being and somebody who maybe didn't have a great day, or had bad news today, or had great news today and they're feeling great and you just want to feel better, whatever it is, then you can actually impact the world that way. Like, these small little, how they say, these small acts of kindness can resonate deeply.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's, again, as I said in the previous week, you tell me your stories of how your mindset is and where your world is at. I start to think into my own world, as I'm sure everybody else is. And, I started thinking back to an event, actually, because at our law firm at Kormans LLP, we like to take our staff out because we're family, we're team members. We went out not long ago, we went to a nice Italian dinner, and then we went to Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, that's fun.
Another time I took everybody, we went to medieval times. I love medieval times and being there with the jousting and the horses. But it's amazing, for a lot of business owners and managers, when you clock in, clock out, and you don't get to know people on a personal level, I tell people all the time, have you thought about going outside the office, do a fun event? We do a poll for our staff. We tell them, Where would you like to go? What kind of thing we narrowed down to the last
that's
three or
a cute
four?
idea.
And we have a poll.
Love
and
that.
and when almost everybody votes one way, they have a vested interest because now they want to do it, not being told what to do. And we've gone on a boat cruise, what be it. But it's amazing how much team building happens that way. And that motivating part of it, when you know somebody cares about you, you get to meet them as a real human being, not just as your boss, not just as your employee, but we start to feel like we're working this way, not this way. It's a different feeling. So a lot of now managers, team owners watching this, I hear the same complaints if they're in construction, supermarkets, tire supplier, you name it. People tell me in this day and age, Cathy, it's not only so hard to attract good talent, it's even harder to keep good talent these days.
Right.
So from a motivation standpoint, if somebody came to you and said, look, I have so many key members, but I'm worried I'm not going to be able to keep them long term unless I keep them motivated, what would you advise that team owner, that manager, on how to motivate their team members?
I would say make sure you have team meetings from time to time, or talk to people one-on-one. And sometimes the staff member will call in sick, or ask another question other than when do you expect to be in again? Because if somebody's calling in sick, maybe they're really going through a hard time or need some help. Do you need me to drop anything off for you? Do you want me to send over some Uber Eats? Doing those things, you can't duplicate that. You can't, you may be able to work in a different real estate office, or you may be able to work in a different law firm, but you're not going to have that person there who actually asks, do you want me to drop off Uber Eats for you, or send you something, or what can I do to make your day easier and make your day better? And I do that with clients too. I just sold a house, and it was two sisters, and they were selling their childhood home. And their father had dementia. He's in a long-term facility. The mother passed away a couple of years ago, and during the sale, the father passed away. And I realized what can I do for them? So I said, what can I do for you to make your day better, to make it easier for you right now? And people often don't respond, or so maybe you surprise them and you do something, because they don't want to put you out, and they don't really think of you that way, or they just know that you were willing to do something for them if they needed it. And I think that people need to feel supported, and they have people around them who care. And we're learning that longevity has so much to do with community. And we talked earlier on our previous podcast about family, and for a lot of people, your community is your family. And your community are the people you work with. And for the people I know in the Forest Hill office in the Forest Hill Village, the staff there have been there, I'm not exaggerating, they've all been there 40 years. Yep. And they are each other's family. And I walked in there today because I had a meeting there, and I've known these ladies for 35 years, some of them. And they are so devoted. It's not a job for them. It goes so much deeper. And that is a special place when you have people who are so devoted to each other and so committed to the business and to the owners. And where they go, I remember when your son was born, I remember when this happened, I remember when that happened. They've gone through your life with you.
I love that. And that's, you're hitting the right on the head. When I came to Kormans LP over 10 years ago, one of the reasons I was going to open up my own practice, I was already a lawyer for many years, and I said, okay, I'm ready now to take it to the next level. And I came there, and I meet Jerry Corman, who started the practice back in the 70s, and I was marveling how many people were there 20, 30 years plus, and not 100 people. From a small group of people, they've been there forever, seemingly. I said, this is continuity. This tells me this is something special,
Yes.
And I love how you brought another segment into this, because, we think about what motivates ourselves. We think about what motivates our family. We think about what motivates our coworkers or our staff. But we kind of forget our lifeline. If we want to have a living, we got to think about our customers, our clients, and people kind of don't think about always what motivates them. And I love that you're thinking beyond just your box, but the people who come into your world, and think about what motivates your client, your customer, and how best you can motivate them. And it's funny how that relationship works.
Well, I always tell the agents, don't think that people can read minds. Like you may walk into a house and think, oh, well, that's for the first time, and maybe you're getting a tour, maybe they're considering giving you a listing. And I think, hey, that's a really cool kitchen island, or I love that light fixture. And you think it to yourself, but say it, verbalize it, because they don't read your mind. And tell them when you're saying goodbye after this visit of having it's been an honor to walk through your house and see how you've changed it over the years. It's obviously a labor of love. It would be a privilege to be able to represent this property. Say those things because that's actually how you feel. You would be so happy if you got that listing. And people need to hear it. And when they hear it, you will get the listing because the next person's not going to say it. And maybe the next person doesn't need the listing as badly, or maybe the next person doesn't have the skills that you have, whatever it is. Make sure that you're getting it because they understand you really, really want it. And that you're going to do a great job for them and that you appreciate what they've done. So I think that, that's only a small microcosm of all the stuff that we have. It's just like with everything, you have to do it. I went to a concert last night. I went to see Earth, Wind & Fire. And so it was like a real mix, surprisingly, of ages. Like there were 22-year-olds and there were 82-year-olds, okay? And
I saw there was an opening act in Vegas years ago.
oh, well, they're still going strong, okay?
They're going to go for another 50 years, don't worry.
They were really good. So I had three like really adorable young girls dancing in front of me. I don't even know how these three girls found Earth, Wind & Fire, but they're dancing in front of me.
Yeah.
And behind me I have like an elderly couple, and the three girls get up and start dancing. And so me and my friends get up, because we couldn't see, like we had to stand up, and the elderly couple behind me tapped me on the shoulder and said, sit down. And I said, but then we can't see, sit down. I said, well, then I won't be able to see because the girls are dancing.
Yes.
And they said, well, tell them to sit down. I said, I'm not telling them to sit down. Like, they're having a good time. This is like, they bought tickets too. They're allowed to dance. It's something you do at concerts. It's not that crazy. Right. Yeah. And then the man puts his hand through like the crowd over my shoulder. I'm not kidding, it's so weird. And taps on the girl's shoulder and said, sit down. And the girls were so nice. They sat down and then they turned to me and they said, we'll be dancing again. But I just think I don't know. You have to be cool. You have to sort of choose your battles. It's not the worst battle. Some people are dancing in front of you. Like, that's not the worst thing in the world. So you didn't see 2 minutes of the concert where people were dancing. They were sitting down and getting up all night. I think that we just need to be more easygoing and more, I don't know, just kinder. I think there's a lot missing in this world in terms of kindness. And
how are you able to read my mind, Cathy? Because you perfectly are segueing from topic to topic.
No.
You literally just described the next topic, which we were coming to, which was mindfulness.
Oh,
You
okay.
have found mindfulness. I got to ask you, for somebody who wears a lot of hats, a lot of pressure, I'm sure you get all the time circumstances. Cathy, this happened. What are we going to do with it? Cathy, what are we going to do with that? And all that panic. I've never seen you ever explode, never seen you sweat it. You're always so chill. You're like, don't worry, we're going to get this done. This is how we're going to do it. This. Call me this person, call up. How did you find your mindfulness? Did the mindfulness God come and just plant it into you? Were you always this centered and focused? Cathy, how did you find your path?
No, I'm sure I was not always like this, to tell you the truth. I wasn't. I used to get very upset, and the agents would come and tell me a story and like where they were wronged by another agent, and I would be furious, and I'd call the other agent and scream at them, and that never helps, by the way.
No.
Okay. So, and I learned over time what works. Kill them with kindness, be really nice. People, if they're going to go blow up, don't you blow up. Mm-hmm. I don't know, the Michelle Obama, they go low, you go high thing, or whoever said that, Hillary Clinton. I'm not sure who said that, but whoever said that, a first wife some time ago, I actually believe that. Don't just, one of my kids today was getting really frustrated about something, and I said, you've told me the story, you vented, and now you're letting that guy have way too much space, real estate in your brain or whatever they say.
And the rent's too expensive,
Yes.
so they don't get to live there for free.
Right. So I said, it's enough about him. We got to let him go now. We're not going to change him. He is who he is. We both recognize that. Let's go on to another subject. No more about him. But that comes with age. So many things come with age that makes aging beautiful, because you can see things very, very clearly once you've experienced them over and over again yourself and made the mistakes of reacting in certain ways. So I think if you're talking about mindfulness, I always say to the agents, don't make the mistakes I made. Like you know, you have the benefit of my experience. Use it. Don't challenge it, because I don't want you to go out there and start a fight with another agent or take someone to RICO and get entangled in a huge fight. That's not going to end up doing anyone any good. So, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I try to help people, you know, accomplish. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people need to make their own mistakes, and that's fine too. I guess the key is that we learn from them and grow from them.
And that's where, you know, I find a big challenge. If you're an 18-year-old, 21-year-old, and you're finished school, you're going now into your profession, or you think will be your profession, the frustration is, I can't bring age. Age will only come with time. I can't bring experience. Experience will only come with time. So I can't utilize those things yet. How can I work on myself now? So I'm a 21-year-old. I come to you and I said, Cathy, I love working in your office, but everything stresses me out. Like, my client calls me, there's a water leak, they lost the bidding, their house isn't selling fast enough. Did I sell for too much? Did I sell for too little? Did I pay too much? You know, all these kind of questions. Am I going to get my mortgage? There's a million things where you have real talk with real people, and see the segue. Yes. And so now, for example, in real estate, how can I find my mindfulness? Where can I find the perspective if I can't be older instantly, if I can't have experience? What kind of things can I do to find my mindfulness in your estimation?
I think that there's probably some like basic pillars that you have to base your business on, and one of them is that, you know, you're not in control of everything. Like, there are things that are out of your control, right? I think that's probably a life lesson too. So you sort of just, sometimes things don't go your way, and you can't force it, and nothing you can do is going to make it go your way, and it's no one's fault. And even if it is your fault, you're not going to do it again. Like, I try to tell people not to lose sleep, even though they do. Or they'll come to me and they'll say, I didn't sleep all night. I can't believe what that client did, or that they went and they bought a house with someone else and they promised me, and whatever it is. I said, you know what? You win some, you lose some. That might be another pillar. Like, there's going to be ups and downs, and like, you don't look at this like from deal to deal or week to week or even month to month. You just have to look at it as a career. And what's happening in this career? Like, it's been 3 or 5 years, and you know what? Yes, I've had some frustrations and disappointments, but I've also had a lot of successes and victories, and that's what you need to really focus on.
Love it. Well, we're kind of working on the 3 pillars, and it's funny now we're seeing the interrelation of how they're all connected. So motivation, we need mindfulness to get motivation. The other segment, I'm going to ask you a little bit of rapid fire here. You can just tell me yes, no, whatever you like. Cathy, are you perfect?
No.
Do you ever stop learning?
No.
Do you ever want to stop learning?
No.
Do you make mistakes?
Yes.
Do you want to learn new things every day?
Yes.
Do you learn new things every day?
Yes.
Interesting. So one of the things is, because when I meet you, and my first impression, and it hasn't changed over the past few years, is she's put together. She knows more than I'll ever know. Like, she'll forget more than I'll ever learn.
No.
And she has all the answers.
That's true.
She's done it all, seen it all, you know. And it's funny because, to me, when I think from a Zen Buddhist standpoint, you're still a student of life. You're still learning yourself. I mean, how many times have I seen you ask me questions, and you're branching off? You went into your podcast now, and you're not done. You just want to keep growing. So no matter where you get in life, self-improvement is a thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you can see elderly people too, you know, who are 20 years older than I am, and they're still improving. And there are a lot of people like that who still, you know, they always have an eye looking forward. And I think that that's really important. You know, that's like a Jewish concept that if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And I always think that's something that I really, you know, hold deeply in myself. Like, and I say that a lot, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And so I'm always trying to improve. And when I realize that we're sort of at a stalemate and things aren't going anywhere, then it's time to make things go somewhere. And, you know, I don't think people have to have the faith that they can do it. They can manifest their destiny. They can decide what they want to do. They don't have to take the same path as everybody else. And, you know, and they're going to reap the rewards.
And my mom always told me, God gave you eyes in the front of your head, not the back of your head, for a reason, because you look forward. You don't look back. You know, there's so many times I either worked with somebody or I had them as a client, and they tell me, oh, I should have done this differently 10 years ago. I should have done this 20 years ago. And they live in this world of regret. And one thing I found now as I'm thinking to it, they don't improve and move ahead because they're stuck in the past. They're stuck in what should have been, could have been. And because I screwed it up, there's no point in moving forward. Is that true or false?
I think there's a lot of people like that. But I think if you also have the right people around you, that's why community is so important, that you can get out of that rut. Like if you find yourself in that, then you have to go to family and friends or maybe seek professional help if that's what you need to help you get out of that, because that's not a healthy place to be. And it's not going to get better on its own, because we're human, and we feel like we know we're not perfect. I think most people know that they're not perfect, and we beat up on ourselves, and we can be very hard on ourselves. We are our worst critics. So if you find that you're in that place, that where you're stuck in the past and you want to go forward, then you need to get the support you need to do that, because
it's strength. One of the things in this day and age versus 20, 30 years ago, before it was a sign of weakness. You can't admit something's wrong or people will look down at you, so I'm going to bottle it up. Now people can come and say, I am strong. I do need help.
Yes.
I can't do this by myself. And people commend you for it. And it's so healthy and refreshing, and just the shift in the mindset. And I can say from a personal level that for me, how I get ahead is I always need a personal project and a professional project. I always need something to work towards. That's what motivates me. If I don't have some sort of project I'm on, then I feel stagnant. And that's where I would challenge a lot of people. As soon as you get comfortable in your life, you're comfortable at work, comfortable in personal, get out of that comfort zone. Try to move past forward. You may find the results are going to be quite exhilarating.
Yes, I love that.
And so ending today's episode, Cathy, got to ask you, because you've been with us now for a few weeks and you've given us so much motivation. People can find you on your podcast, right? Recently launching. It's going to be Our
Real Life.
I love it. Our Real Life. Hopefully it's going to be real talk with real people. That's, again, my brainwave, but I hope
like
you use
it. I love it.
I love it because I actually minored in HR when I went to business school, but majored in marketing. So I'm always in that marketing mindset.
I know. I love marketing too, so I'm like you.
And you are a real person, a real estate person and a real person with real talk. People watching today, Cathy, loving your information. If you can give one piece of advice to the viewer today as far as motivation, mindfulness, self-improvement, people wanting to get ahead in life, what message would you like to give them today?
If you can, do one act of kindness every day, because that's going to make you feel really good about your life. And if you find you're in a bad place or in a good place, remember this too shall pass. So if you're in a good place, really enjoy it, be in the moment. And if you're in a bad place, try and find a way out of it. And because it will pass. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. And that's just part of life.
Thank you for putting goodness into the world. Thank you for coming into my universe and the universe of the viewers. It's been a pleasure hosting you. It's been great talk, Cathy. You can reach her by email. You'll find her on social media. This is Cathy Himelfarb, Forest Hill Real Estate. And we'll be back next week on the Chosen Life Podcast.